Welcome, 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 welcome. Okay. So, welcome back. If you guys are here, it's because you're excited to talk about girlfriends with me. So good, because I'm excited to talk about girlfriends with you. So, season 1, episode 1 of Girlfriends. Episode called Toe Sucking. I'm intrigued already. Pilot episode, toe sucking, already you caught me. So let's get into that. This episode is the pilot, and we are going to be introduced to Joan Carol CLAYTON. Okay. Maya. What's Maya Wilkes. Maya Wilkes, Toni Childs, and Lynn Searcy. Honorable mention to, again, like I said in my intro video, our favorite girlfriend, William Jerome Dent. Absolutely. So this episode is the introduction of the characters, their relationships with one another, and the dilemmas. So it's Joan's birthday, and she's an attorney. She is an attorney at Goldberg, Sweetelson, McDonald and Lee. And Maya Wilkes is her secretary, administrative assistant. So instantly when the episode starts, we see them, and we kind of already see Maya's like feisty, kind of tell it how it is, no matter where she is, personality when she answers a phone call for for Joan. And that's interesting to see, because it kind of just shows their relationship, how it's going to be and stuff like that, and how she is at the office. So, again, like I said, it is Joan's birthday. She's 29. She lies to William and to others about being 26. And during like the first season of Girlfriends, they have her doing this kind of narration, or like a little like sidebar to the audience. I wasn't a fan of it. It just sometimes, like, it was like, you know, when people have deleted scenes, to me that's kind of what it was. It was kind of just a little extra, just like something that we didn't necessarily need it, but okay. So she does that a lot, and I think they like took it out, I believe, beginning season 2. They no longer, for the duration of the show, they no longer had her doing the narration sidebar moment to the audience, doing all that kind of stuff. But she does a lot of that in the first season. So she lies and tells people that she's 26 because she's accomplished all of these things, but she doesn't have a man, and she's not married. And that kind of introduces us to what she would consider her problem is. I know it's a lot of people out there that was like, girl, that's not no problem. Because honestly, no, it's not. She was an attorney making great money. She lived in Los Angeles, and owned her own home, and had a great amount of friends. Like, that's 3. She had 3 solid friends. That's more than a lot of people can say. So, and really 4, because William was really, again, favorite girlfriend, because he was a better friend than all 3 of them. And she was cute. She had a cute body. She had a cute shape, cute hair. Like, you know, she was a cool person. So, a lot of people looking from the outside looking in would be like, girl, you don't have a problem. But her issue in the show, and Joan's problem, is that she's not in a committed relationship. She wants to get married. She wants to have kids. So that's kind of her thing. We learned that she's going to have a birthday like soiree at her house later that evening, and all of the friends are invited. And again, another like kind of hint to like her issue is when she gets flowers from an ex, and the card reads, "Happy birthday, I got back with my ex-girlfriend." Like, who does that? Why would you send flowers to an ex and then tell her like, oh yeah, I got back with my girlfriend and blah, blah. I think, what did he say, that they're getting married or something? I don't know. But on her, but happy birthday anyway. So like basically pity flowers. She gets pity flowers from an ex-boyfriend. Huh, we were better off not hearing from you. Like, bye. So yeah, that's kind of her thing. So then we go on to Lynn and Toni. Now, Lynn is packing her stuff because that's, what does she have? Like a duffel bag and a t-shirt. Packing her stuff in Toni's house because she's like the couch surfing friend. Like, she's very intelligent, has a plethora of degrees that she doesn't use, but she hates working like everybody, but doesn't quite get it that we have to do it. Like, we have to do it to make money, Lynn. What are you doing? So she's that friend that doesn't get that. She's like couch surfing from her friend, from Joan to Toni, back to Joan, back to Toni. Toni's sick of it. Toni is done. Like, y'all are, if you've seen the show, then you know Toni is a selfish friend. If you haven't seen the show and you want to watch it, you'll learn that Toni is a selfish friend. She's very self-absorbed, into herself, very fabulous. Dresses well. And that's another point too. I think that the characters dress according to their personality. Joan, for example, is very like classy, a little bougie. So people like to say, a little bougie. But still kind of fashion forward. It kind of shows like her being modern, but still kind of like, oh, you know what? If you guys have taken that archetype quiz to find out like your fashion style, I forget the website, but if you guys have done it, I think the mother would like, or the maiden or something like that would represent Joan, because it's like very like classy and not too revealing, but still like edgy in a way, and like still kind of modern, still like modern, bougie, classy, cute pieces, if you will. So Toni is tight, revealing, a lot of cleavage. That's one of her like best attributes, that she likes to, you know, kind of just like, yeah, I have these. She wears a lot of tops that accentuate her body shape, and she's very flashy. That's kind of a later, like a far later episode, when she has that back and forth with her mom. Her mom calls her out for being flashy. We'll get into that. But she likes labels. She's very into labels. She's very into like fashion forward things, because she wants to look good all the time. Lynn is very carefree, and that's what her clothes look like. Sometimes you'll look at it, especially in the earlier seasons. I think later in the seasons, she got a little bit more on beat. But the first seasons, it was like, girl, what are you wearing? She's very carefree. Also, a lot of her clothes in the earlier seasons were very revealing, but not like, okay, her and Toni, they were both revealing, but Toni was revealing in, I want to be sexy. Like, not, when I say want to be, it's more like sexy, like, ooh, you know, for the men. I think Lynn was revealing because she just had that carefree spirit, and it was like, honestly, if she could walk around naked just to be a free soul, she would. So I think that's kind of interesting to see how one is like revealing because like, oh, look at me. But then the other one is revealing because it's just like, I don't care. Like, I do what I want. Maya is also very kind of like sassy. Like a lot of sassy pieces, sometimes inappropriate. And I think that plays into another one of her personality traits, because sometimes, a lot of times, her thoughts or her opinions or her feelings would be inappropriate, or she would voice them in an inappropriate time. And I attribute her clothing sometimes to be inappropriate just because, like, I'll note that she'll wear like a mini skirt to the law firm with no tights. Like, what are we doing? And like it was one episode, and this is far in the season 2, where she's wearing like a mini skirt, some boots, and like a cami top. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And this is like early 2000s, where, you know, business casual, more business formal in the office. Now I think offices are kind of more business casually, but my, what? So that's that. But anyway, enough of their outfits. Let's get back into the episode. So, yes, Toni and Lynn are at Toni's house, and they're kind of having this kind of conversation about how Lynn needs to get off the and get a job. And she, of course, she doesn't want to. She just loves living at her friend's house, going to school. She, at this point, she's still in school, getting like her 5th master's degree, and she's just doing her thing, like dance to the beat of her own drum. Toni's going through her closet, making sure she has all of her clothes that she let Lynn borrow, except for this one shirt that Lynn wants to keep. And Toni makes a comment, well, Charles loves me in this. And Lynn goes, Charles? Who's Charles? And she goes, Jones Charles? And Toni goes, we're all God's children. We don't belong to anyone. Like, what? And she's like, what did they? Oh, yeah. And Lynn goes, toe sucking Charles? And Toni goes, with the stock options. So that kind of just shows like how she's not just material herself, but she likes for her men to have, you know, money and something in the bank. So this is where Lynn finds out that Toni is dating Joan's ex. Charles was Joan's ex, who was the investment banker. And Joan, you know, was really into him, and she, you know, wanted to get married, wanted to know if that was, I think she wanted to know that that was in the future plans. And he kind of took it as, I want to get married right now. And so, and we find all this out because later, once Joan realizes all this, she has like that sidebar moment to kind of show us what exactly happened with them. And she mentions marriage, and she's like, so if that's not what you want, then it's just best that we just break up. And yeah, her approach was a little kind of like, what, girl? But he was like, okay. Like, no, like, explanation. Like, okay, well, when you say marriage, do you mean right now? Like, nothing. He's just like, okay. And she was like, like, she was not expecting that. And so they break up. So Joan is under the impression that he doesn't want to get married. And he's under the impression that she wanted to, like, run down the altar, like, right now. But besides the point, they're not together anymore, and now he's dating Toni, which is pretty scandalous. So Lynn, you know, kind of scolds Toni, but like, you're not supposed to date your friend's exes, like that's trashy. And so Toni is like, yeah, but it's okay because she broke up with him, he didn't break up with her, so it's fine. And it's not fine, girl. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so it's never fine. Even if she did break up, it's never fine. So Lynn is like, okay, well, you're gonna tell her. Oh, because Toni is planning on bringing Charles to the party, and Lynn is like, what? This is her birthday party. Like, you're gonna at least have the decency to tell her that you're bringing Charles to the party. And of course, Toni is like, okay, yeah, sure, when I find the time. And then Lynn's like, girl, and she was like, if you don't tell her, I'm gonna tell her. And Toni's like, good, because I didn't. I have the time. So later, back at work, we're introduced to William, and William, you know, comes in there and to Joan and tells her happy birthday, stuff like that. That's when we see her lie about being 26 when she's really 29. And then he kind of tells her that the partners are planning on making her junior partner. So she gets that bit of good news on her birthday as well, which kind of shows that she's killing it, you know, at work, and she has these friends. So she's good. Then Lynn and Toni call her to wish her happy birthday, but to also tell her that Toni is planning on bringing Charles to her birthday dinner. And the camera is so funny because the camera starts off with Toni on the phone, right? And it start like close into Tony. Like, so we just see her on the phone and she's like, hey girl, happy birthday, stuff like that. Then the camera pulls up and we see Lynn grabbing Tony's hair with a pair of scissors. Like, you better tell her right now that you were planning on bringing Charles. So she finally tells her, and of course Joan is acting like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I don't care. I ain't tripping on him. Like, whatever, bring Charles if you. And it's like, girl, you care. Like, let's stop. You care. So, she's like freaking out in her head because she's like, oh my God, not only am I going to be the only person at my birthday party without a date, which is not true, by the way. Not only am I going to be at my birthday party without a date, but my best friend since the 4th grade is coming in here with my ex-boyfriend on her arm. What? What? She should have told her where to go right then and there. I would have. You're not invited. Bye. But see, if she would have done that, then we wouldn't have had like 2 seasons worth of drama. So she's like, of course she's like, it's fine. I'm good. And she's not good. So she hangs up on the phone and she's like, I have a date myself. William. Ow, I hit my nail. That hurt. So she's like, William, right? So William is her good old standby. Like, and at this time they really weren't like romantic. A lot of y'all have seen the show, so you know why I'm acting like this, because later, anyway, they're not romantic at this point in time. So really it's just an innocent, like, just pretend to be my date type of thing. And William is so goofy and so silly. He's gonna do it just for like the fun of it, because he has nothing better to do. Like, he's gonna do it. So they go or fast forwards, right? And they show just the girls so far. So it's just Maya, Lynn, Toni, and Joan at Joan's house. We see Joan's house, this big, beautiful house in Larchmont and Larchmont, sorry, in Larchmont, and beautiful. So again, we see another win for Joan. Like, girl, you got this beautiful house that you own. Okay, you have these great friends, you killing at work. Like, girl, what is that? So she comes out in this beautiful dress, and I love this on her because Joan, sorry for not saying this earlier, Joan is played by Tracee Ellis Ross. Maya Wilkes is Golden Brooks. Toni Childs is I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. And Lynn, again, I'm gonna have to get back to you. I'm terrible. I call all the characters, I don't care what else they play in. I'm sorry. I call them by the character name that I like best know them for. And I call all these people by the character names from Girlfriends. So even Tracee Ellis Ross, and she's like been in a lot of stuff, and I'll still be like, Joan. One, like I know her. 2, like that's the only role she's ever had. It's ridiculous, but I like to do it. It adds a little razzle dazzle. But anyway, so she has this beautiful dress. It's just like green back out, like long maxi, but it's like knit, I think. And it hugs her in just the right places. She has this gold arm cuff. Her hair is out and curly and big. And she, of course, like I said, shape. Bow. So she looks great. Like, she looks great, you know? And she comes out and she's like, well, you know, it's not every day that a girl turns 26. And here comes Lynn. In your case, for the 4th time. And so then, then Lynn goes on her soapbox about embracing her age and not conforming to this patriarchal society. We get it. Okay, it just really shows, Lynn's stance on things. She's a nonconformist. She's very kind of dance to the beat of her own drum. She doesn't like when people conform to societal pressures and stuff like that. So that again, this is all highlighting everybody's personality and who they come to be and how they affect the friendship and the story. We also learned that Maya is married. Lynn makes a comment like, "Hey Maya, I thought we were going to meet your husband tonight." And again, this also kind of plays into her playful, goofy, and kind of like adult conversation and kind of personality that Maya has. So she makes a joke about sex in regards to her husband. And again, it just shows like her being playful and snarky and quick with it. So we learned that about Maya. William makes it along with Charles. They get there kind of like at the same time. So they see Joan in the dress, and then she like has her bottle of wine, and it's so funny because she goes, "Now pay attention," again to the audience. "Now pay attention, because this is where I'm about to turn." And he pops a willy because all this booty could have been his. And she literally like does it. And they're standing there like funny. So again, she's still trying to act like this whole Charles thing's not bothering her. It's bothering you. It's bothering everybody else that knows. Maya doesn't know yet, but when she finds out, it's gonna be crazy. Okay, to 7. We also see Toni's personality as well. When they come out and when Joan comes out in her dress and stuff. Or no, sorry. When they're talking about like society and stuff like that, and Lynn makes a comment about how society thinks that women should just be walking around with a set of perky double D's, and something. And so Maya goes, "Well, if you walking around with a pair of perky, or no, if you're walking around with double D's, you too tired to be perky." And then Toni goes, "But yet I managed to go on." So that kind of plays into her being, a little into herself and thinking that she's fabulous. She is. I always thought Toni's like outfits were really pretty or really cute. She just, that attitude, child. I couldn't do it. No, thank you. So anyway, this also shows Toni and Maya's and kind of beef in the beginning. In the beginning, they didn't get along. They did not see eye to eye when it came to a lot of stuff. Toni, of course, thinks Maya's ghetto. She just, thinks she's hood, thinks she's classless, hasn't been anywhere. And Maya thinks Toni is stuck up, classist and egregious. And I think both points, I think like a nicer way to put about Maya, she's a little around the way, she's a little bit more cultured in the urban yes. And really Toni is not ghetto, but she's from Fresno. So no, that's not ghetto, but it's not like Beverly Hills. If you're not from California, Fresno is like just not, it's not glitz and glamour at all. So for somebody from Fresno to be, looking their nose down at somebody from LA or like Compton or something like that, or it's like, how? So but again, Toni has always wanted to be fabulous, and if anything is anything less than fabulous, it's like, oh, how dare you. But so they get into this verbal sparring and match, and basically it's like an English lesson. Like Maya's like loving the Moroccan food. They have Moroccan food for Joan's birthday party. She's loving the Moroccan food, and she's like, "Oh, this is good. I'm gonna take some to my husband." So they're packing the food, and Charles and Tony are just like looking at her. Again, I don't know why they was looking at her so intense like that too. Maybe they just didn't have nothing else to do. Honestly, if we're being real, this party was kind of a downer. They didn't have nothing to do. They wasn't playing no games and wasn't nothing on TV. The background music sounded like elevator music. So not to talk about Joan, but just like, girl, what's happening with your party? So they were like, looks like staring at Maya make a plate for her husband, and she looks up and she goes, "What? Why are you looking at me?" And Tony's like, "Oh, it's why are you looking at me?" And she's like, "I go to college, Tony. I know how to talk English or something." She was like, "Well, maybe you should have went somewhere to speak the language or something like that." And so Tony goes, "Well, I know that kiss is also a verb and a noun. So you can either give my butt a kiss or kiss my butt." And it's really good because like they both just sitting there like, and it's just like, yeah, girl, like stop. Why are you? So later Maya finds out that Charles is Joan's ex, and she goes off like, "Oh, y'all in here sharing each other's eggs, y'all nasty, like that's gross, that's so trifling," or whatever. And so then of course Tony starts feeling bad once everybody's left the party. Everybody gets mad and they leave the party because Tony gets called out for dating Joan's ex. Maya and Tony get into this verbal altercation. Honestly, truth be told, it had nothing to do with Charles. Y'all just don't like each other. So Maya leaves. Well, no, Joan throws everybody out, but nobody leaves because they're just like, "Girl, like what's wrong with you on your bed?" Like she's mad, she's upset. Her dress rips off of her neck. That's embarrassing and upsetting because that, again, I detail out the dress. That dress was gorgeous. So her dress snaps off and she shows her boobies and she's like, "Oh," and she runs to her bedroom. So everybody leaves, and of course once the dust is settled, Tony feels terrible, like her and Charles are trying to do it, and then she's like, "Stop, no, this is wrong. How can I do this to the only woman that puts up with me?" And she's right, because Joan is the glue, honey. She's the glue. But then she decides that she doesn't want to date Charles anymore, and then she's trying to do the honorable thing, stuff like that. Joan is still feeling crappy because she's mad about Charles. She's mad about how the birthday party went, and everything was just like a knock, knock, knock. Who's at the door? Charles. What do you want? So then Charles comes over to the house and they kind of have like a whole thing like, what are what are you doing? Like dating my friend, and they get into the breakup and how she's like, "Well, I wanted to get married and you were with it." And he was like, "Well, I am with it. Like, I just didn't want it to be thrown in my face, like shoved at me. Like, I want to get married eventually, but just like, ugh." And she was like, "Well, why didn't you just say that?" And blah, blah, blah. And she still talks to his mama. And so they start making out behind the kitchen counter. And then she's like, "Oh my God," she has that sidebar again. She's like, "Oh my God, this is so wrong because now technically like he's Tony's boyfriend and I'm doing the dirty deed to her boyfriend now. Like technically like that's wrong." Knock, knock, knock. Who's at the door? Tony Childs. So now Tony comes in there. He's hiding behind the counter. She feels all bad. She's like, "I should have never done that. Like, this is terrible, Joan. Oh my God." So then she sees him behind the counter and Tony goes, "Oh, well, karma, y'all got me." And so then they both start feeling bad and they're just like, I'm sorry too, friends. And they make up. But here's the thing. Tony, you was wrong for dating Joan's ex in the first place. Like that's crazy. Why did all of the friends in the friend group have to tell you that? And for a whole altercation and for you to see Joan visibly upset, why did it take all that? Shouldn't have taken all that. You should have known from jump that you shouldn't have dated her. Okay? Him, sorry. And I think they both did a good job of just like kind of kicking him to the curb at the end of it, because it was like, if you are gonna, try to get around the friend circle, then you're not, no, boo. Like, imagine your boyfriend, your ex-boyfriend, just bunny hopping around the circle. Like, that's not cute. Who does that? Not cute at all. Not cute. So, let me know what you guys think about season 1, episode 1. What would you guys have done? If that was my friend, first of all, if I was my friend, I would have had this conversation long before any of that would have happened. Like the day she told me she was bringing my ex-boyfriend to my birthday party, I would have been like, no, you gotta go. Like, none of that would have transpired, honestly, if that was my friend. And it probably wouldn't have been no show. It would have been a show 3 girlfriends, not 4, because Toni, no, like, you're wrong for that. So this will be interesting to talk about how their friendship just goes downhill from here. Honestly. But thank you guys for joining me on this wonderful journey of toe sucking, season 1, episode 1. Next week we will get into season 1, episode 2. And that will be uploaded next week. Thank you guys. Love this. And I'll see you next time.